So just in general, how do we know if customers are satisfied? What is it that tells us that they were true? What's the ultimate compliment they can give? A lot of people are going to say referrals, but it's not. It's that they come back. They come back to your store. It means that they trusted you enough, they got enough value in the process that they come back the next year. Let me give you an example. You go to your kid's soccer game, and the coach is there saying, you know, he has some issues on his tax return. He needs to get his taxes done. And you're like, you know what? No problem, John. I do taxes. I'm a tax preparer. In fact, come in and I'll hook you up. I'll give you 50% off the cost of your tax return. So John comes in, you do his taxes, the coach comes in, and he's excited. He walks out. Now, let me ask you, is John more or less likely to come back next year? You just hooked John up. You gave him 50% off the tax return. You did an awesome job. He walked out smiling. Well, it turns out John's less likely to come back next year, statistically speaking. So why is that? Well, it's a question that we presented in corporate. We said, let's look at all the tax returns were done one year. And we said, how much do people come back versus the amount of discount? So we did this chart. It's called retention versus discount, where the retention rate's on the left and the discount's on the bottom right there. Turns out that the larger the discount, the lower the retention. Well, why is that? It doesn't make sense. I mean, you would think that when you hook somebody up, they're more likely to come back. Turns out when you hook them up, they're less likely to come back. And we can do the same chart a different way, say retention versus price of return. Turns out the more expensive the return is, the lower the retention. I remember I used to have a pretty high average net fee compared to the other franchisees around me. In fact, I was substantially higher. And everybody said, yeah, you'll get them this year, but you won't get them next year. They won't come back. Turns out the opposite's true. The more you charge, the more they come back. So why is that? And in fact, let me give you an example. If you look at this chart here, the very lowest retention rate we have in the company is for customers that we gave a free tax return to. We hooked them up more than anybody else. We did all the work for free. We didn't charge them anything, and they're the least likely to return. So why is it that when somebody, you give them a return, you hook them up, give them a discount, they don't come back? It's because you're saying, and think about this is important, you are saying, I am not worth what I charge when I get a discount. And this goes back to the value judgment. If you really thought you were giving $500 of value for a $250 return, you would never give a discount. If you think you're giving $100 of value for a $250 return, you're absolutely going to start hedging and say, oh, you know what, I'll give you $20, $40, $50, $100 off. So when you discount, you are sending a message to them, and you're saying to them, I am not worth what I charge. I'm not worth it. So why do we do free returns if they're the least likely to return? I mean, why should we spend our time and effort to do 100 free returns for our clients only to have them not return? Well, the reality is that 33 of them do. 33% come back next year. So assuming we did 100 free returns this year at $10 each, which is about our hard cost, it costs us $1,000. Well, if your average net fee is $250, next year 33 are going to come back, you're going to make $8,250 off these people. So your 1 year ROI is 825%. Well, I don't know about you, but that's an incredible ROI for 1 year, especially in today's economy. Now, think about things that you don't want to discount on. Other things that you don't want to discount on, brain surgery, for example. Let's say that you had to have surgery on your brain. So you interviewed the different doctors around town. You said, hey, look, this is a very important procedure to me. Are you any good? And the doctor's response was, well, I'm the cheapest in town. Is that the doctor you want to go to? The guy whose value proposition is not that he's good, but that he's cheap? But yet, we want to do that sometimes as tax preparers. We don't want to say we're good, we just want to say we're cheap. Think about it. Who in this room pays somebody to change the oil in their car? Why do you pay somebody to change the oil in their car? Well, it's messy, and if I mess it up, the consequences are huge. I can blow my entire engine. So I don't want to change my own oil. I want to have somebody else do it for me and take care of all the mess and the problems associated with it. And taxes are very similar. People don't want to go out to the IRS and try to figure out how to do tax returns, try to figure out TurboTax, trying to make sure they did it right. And if they do it wrong, the consequences can be huge. They can be going to jail. They can be having 100% of your income garnished. The consequences for filing your tax return are huge, just like the consequences if you change the oil wrong and you blow your engine are significant. So do you really want to be the discount tax service in town? Is that how you want to be known? That not that I'm good, not that I'm a good taxpayer, I'm just cheap because I can't get customers otherwise. I can mess up everybody's tax return, so I need to be the cheapest. It doesn't feel good. It's not good energy. And if that's the point of view you have in your store, your tax preparers will pick up on it, and it's not going to be a fun place to work. Now imagine the opposite side of this. Imagine the opposite side where you say, you know what, somebody walks in and says, how much do you charge or how cheap are you? You're saying, you know what, I'm a premium tax service. I provide phenomenal quality. I provide a great service at a very reasonable price. Now, what does that say about you? Isn't that a much better feeling? And that will permeate through your office, and your customers and your employees will really appreciate working there. Much more so than if you're known as the discount place in town. So let me talk to the franchisees for just 1 second here. Oftentimes, we're the ones that are actually creating the problems in our own store. Imagine the scenario where you walk up to a desk and a tax preparer's there, the client's asked for a discount, you walk up, you talk with the client, and you say, you know what, I'll give you a $40 discount on this tax return. What did you just say to the tax preparer? You said to them, they're not worth what you charged. I have to give a discount in order to keep this customer because my tax preparer isn't worth that $250. And they're gonna internalize that, and they're gonna think of themselves as being a discount tax preparer. Now imagine the opposite side of that. If you'd walked up to that customer and said, you know what, I looked this over, I have full confidence in Kelly, or your tax preparer. Kelly is a phenomenal tax preparer. It was done right. And even if you let that customer get up and walk out, Kelly's going to know that she's worth it, that you trust her completely, that she does a good job, and she's not going to present herself as a discount tax preparer. So oftentimes, we're the ones that are creating the culture of discounts in our own stores by telling our tax preparers they're not worth it by our actions, by allowing customers to dictate our prices and allowing them to get the discounts that they're really not entitled to.